Hello, welcome to New Me's Crochet Nook. I'm going to show you how to do this trending crochet flower bouquet coaster. So let's get started. It can be easily folded into a bouquet. So here is it. So let's get started. Isn't it beautiful? For the base of this, I'm using this colors. Then for the stem part, I'm using green, and for the flower, I'm using red. And these yarns are 4-ply acrylic yarns, and I'm using 3.5 mm hook, and you will be needing a yarn needle and a scissor. So let's get started with the magic circle. For the magic circle, we have to take a tail end of the yarn. This is the tail end of the yarn. Now we are using this color first, so hold it first. Now wrap the yarn around like an X shape. Now turn your palm. Now you can see two straight lines. Now slowly take your hook through the second line of yarn, grab it, give a small twist, come back again, grab it once again, loosen your first loop here, take the grabbed yarn through your loop, slowly remove your fingers. Now that is your magic circle. Now slowly pull it. Now we are going to start the first row with a 2 chain. Chain 1 and 2. Now we have to do 12 double crochet into this circle. So yarn over, go into the circle. Now you have 3 loops. Yarn over, go through the first 2 loops. Once more yarn over and go through the next 2 loops. Now once again, this 2 chain is not counted as 1 stitch. So now we have done 2 double crochet. Now let's meet after completing the 12 double crochet. Now I completed my 12 double crochet. Slowly pull the tail end to reduce the circle. Now we need to close this circle. We are not going to do a slip stitch into the chain stitch here. We are going to do a slip stitch into the first DC we did. First double crochet is here. So we are going below the stitch here and we are going to do a slip stitch. Pull the tail end. So first row is done. Now to start a new row, every time we are going to do with a chain 2. Now what we are going to do is we are going to do an increase of 2 double crochet on top of all the 12 stitches. So this 2 stitch is not counted as 1 stitch. So we have to do 2 stitches in the same stitch where we have done the 2 chain here. Here, same stitch where we did our chain. So we have to do yarn over, we have to do a DC, 1 more double crochet, yarn over, 2 double crochet with the 2 chain we have done. Now go to the next stitch here, and do an increase, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. Now go to the next stitch here. So let's meet after completing 24 double crochet, that is 2 double crochet on top of all the 12 stitches. So now we have reached this end of this row. Now what you're going to do is slip stitch into the first DC, not into the second 2 chains we have done in the starting. We are going to do a slip stitch into the first stitch, not here. We are going to the first stitch here. Increase on all stitches are done. Now chain 2 for the third row. Now one more stitch here. In the same stitch, same 2 chain, we are going to do one more stitch. Now in the next stitch we are going to do an increase. 1 and 2. So in the first stitch only one stitch, the next stitch increase, and in the next stitch again one stitch, again an increase. So the pattern is 1 2 1 2 1 2. So let's meet after completing this row. You'll be getting 36 stitches at the end of this row. So when you reach the last end of this row, you can see you have to do an increase in the last stitch here. In the last stitch here, 1 and 2. So you are going to do a slip stitch, not in the chain here. Go to the first stitch here, first DC, and do a slip stitch. Now to start the next row, chain 2, do a double crochet in the same stitch. 1. Now one more double crochet in the next stitch. It's not an increase. Now in the third stitch you are going to do an increase. Now one single stitch in the next 2 stitches. And then an increase in the next stitch. Now let's work on this and complete this row and come back soon. So the pattern is 1 1 2 1 1 2, then 1 1 2. Now we have reached the end of this row. Every time when you come to the end of the stitch, you'll be doing an increase. So here the last stitch will be doing an increase. This is the last stitch. We are going to do an increase here, 1 and 2, and we are going to close this row with a slip stitch into the first DC here. Now if you want, you can stop your coaster here, because size of the coaster depends on the yarn you use also. I have used 4-ply acrylic yarn, so I need a little more big base for the coaster. I'm going to do 2 more rounds. If you want, you can stop here. Now I'm starting the next row with 2 chain and one same stitch, double crochet in the stitch, then one more, then 1 2 3. Now 3 stitch and 1 increase. And always remember that while doing, don't do it so tightly, because if you do it tightly it will become like a cap. So always the tension should be loose, not too loose. Now 3 more double crochet, separate double crochets, then 1 increase, now let's meet after completing this full row. So we are going to do an increase here in the last stitch. So 1 and 2. Now we are going to close this row by doing a slip stitch in the first DC, double crochet. So now I'm going to do my last row of base, chaining 2, now doing a double crochet again in the, now one more Now 3 more separate double crochet in. We have done 3 separate double crochet and 1 increase. Now we are going to do 4 separate double crochet. 1 2 3, then 4, then we are going to do an increase. Again 4 more stitches. 1 2 3 and 4 and an increase. Now let's meet after completing this row. This is the last row for our base. Now we have reached the end of this row. 1 increase is remaining to do in the last stitch here. So we are going to do an increase of 2 double crochet, and we are going to slip stitch into the first DC here. Now we have finished base, so I'm going to cut off the yarn. Don't cut it at the end, leave some. We have to weave in the threads. Now do 1 chain and you are done here with the base. Now I'm going to take my green yarn. So I'm taking the green yarn. So here you can see I'm making a slip knot here. Now I'm going, this is the wrong side and this is the right side. Go to the right side. Here I am. You can attach it from any end. So I'm taking it here like this. Now we are going to chain here 5, 1 2 3 4 and 5, and now we are going to do a double crochet in the same stitch. So now it's a triangle. Now yarn over. Now you have done this. Now what you have to do is you have to skip these 2 stitches. Next 2 stitches you have to skip, 1 and 2, and go to your 3rd stitch and do 1 more triangle and do 1 more V-stitch, double crochet, chain 2, come back to the same stitch and do a double crochet. Now yarn over, skip 2 stitches, 1 2, and go to the 3rd stitch and do a double crochet, chain 2 and do the same double crochet in the same stitch. Now so this is it. Now let's complete the round and come back soon. Now this was my last V stitch I have done here. Now you're going to skip 2 stitches here and here we have done 5 chain stitch. So on top of the 3rd chain I'm going to do a slip stitch, 1 2 3, and do a slip stitch. So I've finished doing the slip stitch here. Now we have finished the green base. Now let's cut off the extra yarn. Leave some yarn to weave in the threads. Now do 1 chain stitch and close this. Now we are going to start doing with our red color. Now we are going to do the red flowers like we have done here. So take the red yarn, and as we did for the green, we are going to do a slip knot first. slip knot. You can attach it anywhere in between here, not inside this V. We are going to attach it here. So now do one chain. You're going to do one chain for this. And you're going to do one single crochet. Single crochet means go into this hole without yarn overing, come back and yarn over and go through the 2 stitches together. That is a single crochet. Now chain 2. Now yarn over. We are going to do 5 double crochet inside the stitch. Inside the V, we are going to do 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now loosen your loop here. Now go to your first stitch here. This is your chain to here. This one, first stitch here. Now pick up this loop and tighten it. Take it through the first loop here and chain 2. So this is it. Now go to this gap here and do one single crochet, then chain 2 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 5. Now loosen your loop here. Go to your first stitch here. Go to your first DC here. Now take the loop, tighten the loop and take this loop through your first stitch. This is also called as popcorn stitch. Now chain 2. Go to this stitch and do one single crochet, then chain 2. Now complete this round and let's meet after completing this row. This is our last row. Now we have done in our last V shape, V stitch. Now after this chaining 2 and we are going to do a slip stitch into our first single crochet. We had done our first single crochet by starting this row, so we are going to do a slip stitch into this first single crochet. So that's it. Now let's weave in the threads and come back soon. If you want a tutorial on how to weave in the ends of the yarn, I have given the description in the link. I have done a detailed video on it. So this is our crochet flower bouquet coaster. This is a trending bouquet. See, you can wrap it like this. Hope you all like this tutorial on trending crochet bouquet coaster. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to Naomi's Crochet Nook for more videos. I'll be back soon with more interesting crochet videos. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Bye bye.